let's pretend that me and you are together right now in your living room. We're at the coffee table and you ask me if solar is too expensive. And I'm going to draw for you on a sheet of paper right now. And I'm going to explain to you and draw the same picture that I show everybody. And then I'm going to ask you a question, see if you still think that solar is too expensive. Okay, check this out. So if I draw a simple graph like this, and me and you are sitting right here, this is today. Okay, and if we go up this way, this is how much money that you're paying every month to the utility company. Okay, so let's assume that I ask you, well, how much are you paying for your utility bill right now? How much is your bill? And let's assume that you say, just for this conversation, you said, well, I'm at $200 a month. I pay around $200. Okay. And over here, we're at 25 years. This is 25 years in the future from now. Okay. So let me ask you two questions. If you do nothing about solar, and after today, you just continue doing everything the same way that you have in the past, is it safe to say that you're going to pay your electric bill for the rest of your life until you die? And you're probably shaking your head saying, yep, because you're renting your electricity. The second question I'm going to ask you is, do you think that in 25 years or so, do you think that you're still going to be paying $200? Or do you think that it's going to be less than $200? Or do you think that it's going to be more than $200? And you're probably saying, well, of course it's going to be more, Chris. I mean, that's the whole problem, right? And I say, yep. So typically we've been seeing electric rates across the board go up by around 4% or so every year. And they have to go up because the utility companies actually have, they're for profit and they have investors that are backing them up. And those investors are expecting returns on their investment. Your electricity is an investment for those people. So they crank up their prices just a little bit year after year. So that's why your bill is never going to stay the same, right? So knowing those two things, right? And I didn't have to convince you of that. You answered them yourself. These are the facts, right? So you're going to be paying year after year. Your electric bill is going to go up like this. And right here is the 25-year mark. But you know that if you do nothing, you're basically going to end up paying, for the rest of your life until the day that you die, unfortunately. And even after that, if your children or grandchildren stay in your home, they're going to have to continue paying the light bill, right? So it's a never-ending, this is what I call renting. Okay, you're renting your electricity right now. And if you do nothing, this is what you are looking forward to, right? So let's take a look at this and just think about this for a second. This is the way it is right now, okay? This is at year 25. Okay, now, what I want you to remember is that this $200 that you're paying right now, you're gonna have to pay that regardless, no matter what, okay? So when someone decides to go solar, it's kind of like me asking you the question, before you bought your house, you were renting a home or an apartment, right? Why did you decide to buy your house? Why did you buy your house, right? You had to come up with a down payment and you had to qualify and you had to sign a bunch of papers. Like, why did you do that? Well, more than likely it's because you said, well, I didn't want to continue wasting my money, throwing my money away in the rent for the rest of my life and making my landlord wealthy and paying off his properties when I could pay off my own property and own an asset, invest in a home, right? My home is like an investment for me. That's what everybody does, right? So you stopped renting and you decided to buy your home through a mortgage, right? So when you go solar, what's happening is you're putting a power plant up on your roof, right? And you're generating electricity that's coming straight down into your house and you're using it real time. So it's going to be a lot cheaper than buying it from the utility company, where you have to pay for every single part of the process of, you have to pay the miners that are digging up the coal and they're sending it to the power plant to burn it in a boiler, and they have to ship in tons of gallons of water from lakes, and they have to boil that water, and it's going to turn a big steam engine, and it's going to create electricity. Then they got to upconvert it and ship it through miles and miles and miles of transmission lines to finally get to your city, and goes through more transformers and come down into your house finally, right? And you have to pay for every single step of that process. And there's a middleman everywhere. So you're paying for that. And that's why your cost of electricity is high compared to getting your electricity right from the roof, right down into your house, done, right? So the cost is much cheaper to generate your own local electricity. That is why when you get a solar loan, right? If we write down right here, you get a solar loan, it's like a mortgage. But because you're generating local electricity and you're bypassing all the middleman, you're typically, on average, most homeowners are going to drop this $200, and it's going to be, lower. Now, without running your numbers into our software, I'm unable to give you any accurate numbers here, but let's assume on this case, worst case scenario, and your solar payment to your loan doesn't drop by much. Let's say it stays around the same $200, right? Now, well, what happens is that instead of going up, you're basically prepaying for your electricity on a loan. You're locking it in just like a home mortgage, right? And you're locking it in for the duration of the loan, in this case, 25 years. If you rent a place, typically the rents go up and up a little bit every year, right? Well, but when you get a mortgage, it's locked in and your payment doesn't change anymore. It's the same thing with solar. And after, just like paying off your house, after the term, you pay off, then what happens is that when you pay it off, you owe nothing anymore to your solar loan, just like your house. Okay, and 25 years is just one option. There's 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, but the longer the term, the lower your monthly solar payment's gonna be, right? And it's not like, one thing I want you to understand is this $200 right here, it's not in addition, right? This $200, you got to pay it no matter what. But you're just taking that $200 and you're paying it to your solar loan, and instead of paying it to your utility. Okay. So you're going to have to pay that regardless, no matter what. But instead of sending it this way, you're paying yourself. You're investing in your own asset through a solar loan. You're paying off your solar plant, your power plant. Okay, so look at right here. All this in red is the cost of continuing to do what you're doing, the cost of doing nothing. Versus when you go solar, you own your electricity. You own an asset. You have an end game right here. When you pay off in year 25, that's your end game. Something you don't have if you pay the utility. There's no end game. The end game is when you die. And so I ask homeowners, I say, okay, based on this little picture right here, don't complicate anything more than it has to be. Keep it simple. And all it took was a click of a button to qualify for a solar loan without having to step foot inside a bank. Everything online. If you had these two options, which one would you choose? Does it sound expensive now? Now, regardless of how much this solar loan, this system is going to cost you, it still breaks down into the same monthly payment, but more than likely, it's going to be lower. Everyone's different, but where do you want to send your money? Having these two options, which one would you pick? And do you still think that solar is too expensive? So hey, if you want to see if solar makes sense for your home and what kind of savings and money you're looking at saving by going solar, it can actually take you less than 60 seconds. Just click the button on this page. It'll take you to our online solar calculator tool, and it'll walk you through a few simple set of questions, and just enter your phone number. That way we can text you the results and you can get a really good idea on what size system you need, how much energy it's going to produce and what the cost is and all that good stuff, how much you're going to save over the life of the system. And it's really super totally easy. So go for it, have fun, enjoy. And if you need anything, feel free to contact me at any time, and I'd love to help you with any questions you may have. We'll see you on the flip side.